Most people do not lose great cars because of bad luck. They lose them because small, boring service jobs get skipped until the damage turns costly. In this video, we are breaking down 8 US common long-haul cars across different body styles, with the exact engine and transmission setups worth chasing, the one maintenance item owners ignore that quietly shortens the life of each one, and the one technical detail that explains why the powertrain keeps going when flashier cars give up. No fairy tales here, no fake bulletproof claims, just straight shop advice for people who want real miles, lower drama, and smarter buys. Number 8. Honda Fit. This is the kind of car people laugh at right up until they need one. The 2015 through 2019 Honda Fit in LX or Sport trim is one of those small cars that keeps proving how wrong buyers can be when they judge a vehicle by size alone. It is tiny outside, easy to slide into tight parking spots, and cheap to feed. But the cabin packaging is almost freakish. You get a real back seat, a huge hatch area for the footprint, and a drivetrain that rarely feels like it is working too hard. That matters when the mission is not to impress anybody. It is to keep stacking miles without drama. The engine to chase is the 1.5-liter iVTEC 4-cylinder. If you can find the 6-speed manual, great. If you buy the CVT, make sure the service history is clean. The reason this powertrain lasts is not magic. It is modest output, a light body, front-wheel drive simplicity, and a timing chain instead of a belt. That chain detail matters because it takes one major maintenance job off the table and fits the whole honest design of this car. Honda also kept the cooling load light here because the Fit does not carry a lot of weight, and the engine is not trying to drag around a bloated body with fake SUV styling. That helps the whole setup stay calm. The biggest thing owners ignore is CVT fluid service. They skip it because the car still feels normal, and then one day it starts acting lazy, rubbery, or shuddery at takeoff. That is not bad luck. That is neglect. A Fit with fresh fluid and sane service intervals has a much better chance of feeling smooth at high miles. That is why this car belongs on the list. It is a city commuter, a first-time buyer car, a retired downsizer car, and honestly, a great choice for anybody who wants huge usefulness in a tiny footprint. It is also one of the few economy hatchbacks that does not feel cheap in the ways that matter most. The steering is light, the visibility is strong, and the hatch opening makes daily life easier than many larger sedans. Be honest though, this is not a highway missile. Cabin noise can build its speed, and a neglected CVT can ruin the whole ownership story. My buying checklist is simple. First, watch how the transmission behaves from a stop and under light throttle. Second, check for clean service records, especially fluid changes. Third, look over the rear hatch area and seat mechanisms, because people use these cars hard. Used prices now usually land between $8,000 and $14,000, depending on year, miles, and trim. If you treat one well, this little car can be one of the smartest long-haul buys in America. That matters when parking is tight, fuel money is short, and repair budgets are real. For careful owners, this little hatch stays cheaper for years ahead too. Subscribe if you want useful, honest car advice that protects your money before a clean test drive and shiny paint trick you into buying wrong. Number 7. Ford Crown Victoria. This is old taxi logic, and old taxi logic still works. The 2009 through 2011 Ford Crown Victoria in LX or Police Interceptor form is big, slow, simple, and stubborn in the best way. A lot of buyers write it off because it feels dated, drinks more fuel than a modern sedan, and looks like something from an airport line or an old detective show. Good, that keeps prices down. What makes the Crown Vic special is not its style, it is the hardware. You get a 4.6-liter 2-valve SOHC V8 with timing chains, port injection, a 4-speed automatic, rear-wheel drive, a solid rear axle, and body-on-frame construction. That is exactly why shops understand these cars so well. There is nothing exotic here. The output is modest, the weight is understressed, the cooling system is generous, and decades of fleet abuse proved what the formula can take. This is a car built to survive ugly miles, not impress a shopper in a dealership lot. That is why it belongs here. On the road, it feels like a sofa with a frame under it. The ride is big, the trunk is huge, and the cabin still makes sense for long interstate hauls. This is perfect for a highway commuter, an old-school sedan guy, a former fleet believer, or anybody who wants cheap parts and a giant trunk. And yes, the technical detail matters. This engine uses port injection and timing chains, not direct injection. and not some fragile modern setup loaded with complexity. That keeps the fuel system story simple and helps the motor age in a more predictable way. The main maintenance item owners ignore is the cooling system. That is what kills more of these than the V8 itself. Hoses get old, plastic intake or crossover pieces get brittle, small leaks get brushed off, and then one hot day, the engine overheats and the real pain starts. That is the trap. If you stay ahead of the cooling system, the basic powertrain is hard to scare. First, inspect the coolant system carefully for leaks, smell, dried residue, or patched repairs. Second, look underneath for hard police or taxi life, because some interceptors were used like tools, not cars. Third, drive it long enough to make sure the transmission shifts clean and the front end does not wander or clunk. Used prices usually run from about $4,000 to $9,000, with cleaner civilian LX cars often costing more than tired ex-police units. This is not a smart car for the image. It is a smart car for people who want comfort, cheap parts, and the kind of mechanical honesty that modern cars keep trying to replace with screens. Number 6. Lexus RX 350. This is the quiet money answer for people who want a luxury crossover that can actually earn its keep over time. The sweet spot is the 2013 through 2015 RX 350, preferably in standard trims or well-kept all-wheel drive form with the 3.5-liter V6 and 6-speed automatic. This one belongs here because it is one of the few premium crossovers that can survive long enough to justify the badge. A lot of luxury vehicles look impressive for 3 years and then turn expensive in all the wrong ways. The RX usually does not. The technical reason matters. The 2GR-FE V6 is timing chain-driven, naturally aspirated, and port-injected. That means no turbo heat, no direct injection carbon worries like newer rivals, and no timing belt service hanging over your head. It is just a solid, low-stress V6, matched to an automatic that is not trying to be clever. That combination is why mechanics usually smile when one of these rolls in. They know the platform, they know the parts, and they know most of the problems are age and maintenance problems, not design disasters. The powertrain stays durable because Toyota tuned it for smoothness, not big numbers. The transmission is calm, the whole vehicle was built around comfort, and the owners who buy these often service them better than the average mainstream crossover owner. That matters more than people think. A vehicle that gets regular coolant changes, fluid checks, and decent tires usually lives a very different life from one that just gets washed and shown off. The one maintenance item owners ignore that kills this SUV is small cooling leaks, especially water pump seepage. That is the trap. The RX can feel totally normal right up until the day it runs hot, and once heat gets involved, every good thing about this engine starts getting more costly. If you smell coolant, see crusty residue, or notice a slow drop in the overflow bottle, do not shrug it off. Fix it. The owner profile here is easy to picture. This is for empty nesters, business commuters, parents done with minivans, and drivers who want silent, low-stress miles instead of dashboard theater. It is also perfect for people who like the idea of luxury, but hate the idea of becoming a regular at the dealership service lane. Used prices now usually land around $14,000 to $18,000, depending on miles, history, and whether all-wheel drive is in the mix. It also helps that these often age well inside. The seats stay comfortable, the doors still shut with a solid feel, and the cabin stays a nicer place to spend 2 hours than most mainstream crossovers ever become. Check for coolant smell or residue around the water pump area. Drive it over rough pavement and listen for front-end noise from tired suspension parts. Then test every liftgate, lock, screen, and climate function because electronics get old even on a reliable Lexus. If the records are clean and the drive feels tight, this is one of the safest premium mileage bets in America. Number 5. Toyota Prius. This is the car people still mock with a smirk right up until they realize it just passed another gas station and another repair bill. The 2016 through 2020 Prius in 2, 3, or 4 trim belongs here because it keeps stacking miles with tiny operating costs, and it does it without needing some miracle story. The shape is not cool, the image is not tough, and none of that matters when the powertrain is this smart. The technical detail that makes a huge difference is the transmission. The Prius does not use a belt CVT, like the ones people fear in cheaper small cars. It uses a planetary ECVT, and that is a very different animal. It also has no traditional starter or alternator, which cuts out a couple of old, worn items right away. Pair that with the 1.8-liter Atkinson cycle 4-cylinder and Toyota's hybrid control logic, and you get a setup that avoids a lot of mechanical shock. The engine is not constantly being hammered from a dead stop. Electric torque fills the weak spots. Brake wear stays low because regeneration does part of the stopping work. The whole system is built around efficiency and smoothness, and that is exactly why it can live such a long time when treated right. The one thing owners ignore that kills it is heat management. People get hypnotized by miles per gallon and forget about the cooling system and the EGR path. On a high-mile hybrid, that is, careless, if cooling passages get dirty or the EGR side gets neglected, temperatures rise, and then the whole long-life pitch starts getting weaker. That is why a Prius that looks cheap to own can actually get expensive if the owner treats it like an appliance instead of a machine. The owner profile here is clear. This is for long commuters, rideshare drivers, delivery work, retirees who hate fuel stops, and anybody who wants the lowest drama way to cover brutal weekly mileage. Used prices for the sweet spot years usually run from about $11,000 to $16,000, depending on trim, miles, and history. It also helps that the Prius is roomier than people remember. It also helps that routine brake jobs come later than many owners expect, because regeneration takes so much load off the friction brakes in daily driving. The hatch is useful. The rear seat is more adult-friendly than the styling suggests, and the cabin works for hours behind the wheel. My buying checklist is simple. Look for brake or ABS warning lights. Listen for odd pump cycling at startup and low-speed stops. Then study the service history and inspect the hybrid battery cooling path because hair, dust, and neglect back there can quietly hurt the system. Also, pay attention to the cargo area and rear seat wear, because heavy commercial use leaves clues fast. If you want a car that feels boring in the best way and just keeps paying you back, this is still one of the sharpest mileage plays on the market. Number 4. Mazda 3. This is one of the few compact cars that can still feel alive on a back road and still make a serious case for longer life. The right ones are the 2014 through 2018 I Touring or I Grand Touring models with a 2.0-liter Skyactiv G 4-cylinder and 6-speed automatic. Those are the cars to chase. This one belongs here because it proves a car does not have to be numb to be durable. A lot of people assume the fun compact is the fragile compact. That is lazy thinking. The technical detail that makes this engine interesting is the way Mazda handled compression and fuel delivery. The Skyactiv G runs high compression, direct injection, and a timing chain, but it stays durable because Mazda got the calibration, combustion, and cooling strategy right. It is not the kind of direct injected turbo setup that cooks itself just to win a brochure argument. In the trims we want, there is no turbo, the car is light, and the 6-speed automatic is a conventional unit that does not feel overloaded. That matters. The powertrain lasts because the car is not too heavy. The engine does not need to make huge torque, and the transmission does not spend its life trying to mask a bad match. It feels responsive without being stressed. That balance is why owners who keep up with service often end up with a compact that still feels tight after a lot of miles. The one maintenance item that too many owners ignore is transmission fluid. People hear the phrase lifetime fluid and start believing fairy tales. Then the shifts get dull, the response gets lazier, and the damage starts stacking in the background. Change the fluid. It is one of the easiest ways to protect an otherwise great drivetrain. The owner's profile is simple. This is for the solo commuter, the younger buyer who still likes driving, and the empty nester who wants compact size without punishment. It is also a strong pick for somebody leaving a crossover and realizing they miss a car that feels light on its feet. Used prices now usually land around $8,500 to $13,000, depending on year, trim, and miles. What makes this car stand out is that it still rewards a careful driver. It also helps that road noise stays reasonable, so this compact still feels grown up when the miles pile on and patience thins. The steering feels more natural than most compact cars. The chassis stays composed. And even on a long commute, it does not feel like a penalty box. Make sure the automatic shifters are clean when fully warm. Check for evidence of consistent oil changes because direct injected engines hate neglect. Then listen for suspension wear and watch tire wear, because a compact that feels sharp when new can feel sloppy if the chassis has been ignored. If the service record is clean and the transmission feels smooth, this is one of the best compact long-haul bets for drivers who still want some personality. If this kind of straight, practical advice saves you from trendy mistakes, subscribe. We care about longer ownership, not fake internet legend status. Number 3. Toyota Camry. This is the default long-haul sedan for a reason. The 2015 through 2017 Camry in LE or SE trim with the 2.5-liter 4-cylinder and 6-speed automatic is not here because it is thrilling. It is here because it rarely asks for thrilling money once the miles pile up. This is the car mechanic's point when somebody wants a sedan that just gets on with the job and does not turn simple commuting into a repair project. The technical detail that matters is the hardware itself. The two ARFE engines use a timing chain, not a belt, and it stays with port injection instead of adding direct injection complexity. Pair that with a conventional 6-speed automatic, and you get exactly the kind of boring setup that gets old gracefully. No turbo heat, no dual clutch weirdness, no fragile image chasing, just a low-stress powertrain tuned for normal people doing normal miles. That is what makes it durable. The output is conservative. Parts are everywhere. Every independent shop in America understands this platform, and the whole car feels like it was built around the idea of being easy to live with after the warranty disappears. It also helps that the Camry never has to work that hard. The chassis is balanced, the engine is not pushing huge boost, and the transmission is not being asked to fake sportiness all day. That keeps the whole system calm. The maintenance item owners ignore that the kill rate of these cars is not dramatic. It is the little stuff. Water pump seepage gets shrugged off because the car still drives fine, and transmission fluid gets skipped because people think Camrys run forever no matter what. That kind of lazy trust is how a cheap problem becomes an annoying one. The owner profile here is simple. This is for the family guy, the long commuter, the retiree, or anybody who wants a sedan that says, just get in and go. It is not for somebody chasing attention. It is for somebody who wants reliable miles and predictable bills. Used prices for the sweet spot years now sit around $10,000 to $14,000, depending on trim, mileage, and history. Another reason these keep going is that the cooling system, engine bay layout, and basic service access never turned into a puzzle for the average shop. Even routine jobs stay reasonable. That matters when you are planning for years, not just the next 6 months. It also helps that replacement parts stay common, and that means repairs rarely turn into long waits or weird specialty bills. Look for signs of coolant residue or a faint coolant smell near the front of the engine. Make sure the 6-speed shifts clean when fully warm, not lazy or flared. Then inspect tire wear and suspension feel, because even a solid Camry can feel sloppy if the previous owner ignored the basics. The LE rides a little softer. The SE feels a little tighter. Either way, the powertrain story is the reason to buy. Treat the fluids like they matter, fix small leaks while they are still small, and this is one of the best bets on the market for truly stable, long-term ownership. Number 2, Nissan Frontier. This is the truck that buyers kept walking past for years because it looked old, felt old, and never pretended to be the next big thing. That is exactly why it keeps surviving. The 2011 through 2019 Frontier in SV or Pro 4 X trim with the 4.0-liter V, 6 and 5-speed automatic, is one of the most honest small trucks left in the used market. The technical detail matters here because the VQ40DE uses a timing chain, port injection, and an old-school 5-speed automatic. By the later years, it also sidesteps the earlier radiator cross-contamination reputation that haunted older Frontiers and Xterras, which is a huge deal if you are shopping for longer life instead of internet folklore. This truck lasts because the gearing is understressed. The hydraulic feel is simple. The V6 has been around forever, and the whole platform has fewer fancy systems than newer mid-sized trucks trying to impress with features. It feels like a machine built to work, not to show off. That is why mechanics like it. There is room to reach things. The drivetrain does not feel overcomplicated, and the powertrain has enough torque to move the truck without acting like it is straining itself every day. This is perfect for a homeowner, a small business guy, a hunter, a camper, or anybody who wants a truck bed without going to half-ton size and half-ton fuel costs. Used prices now usually fall between $12,000 and $18,000, depending on configuration, miles, and whether you are looking at a clean SV or a more expensive Pro 4X. The maintenance item that owners ignore is everything underneath. People remember engine oil, then they forget the differentials, the transfer case, and the transmission, especially if the truck tows, hauls mulch, sees dirt roads, or spends time in four-wheel drive. That is how a reliable truck gets turned into an expensive lesson. Another reason these do so well over time is that the truck never got loaded with complicated suspension tricks or overworked turbo tuning. It stayed mechanical, direct, and easy to understand. That is exactly what helps an older truck stay serviceable in the real world. The cabin is plain, but that also means fewer expensive toys aging out just to annoy you later. First, make sure the transmission feels smooth when the truck is fully warm, because a lazy or harsh shift pattern tells you the service story may be weak. Second, check underneath for seepage around the differentials and transfer case, and look for signs that the truck has actually been used hard, not just driven. Third, inspect the rear springs, shocks, and front end feel, because a compact truck with tired suspension stops feeling trustworthy fast. The Pro 4X is great if you truly need the extra off-road hardware. The SV is usually the smarter everyday buy. Either way, this is the truck for people who value simple engineering, predictable upkeep, and a body style the market ignored mainly because it refused to get trendy. Subscribe for real-world picks that balance price, maintenance reality, and the weak spots most owners only learn after they already bought wrong. Number 1. Toyota 4Runner. This is the one people buy, complain about the gas mileage, then keep for 15 years because nothing else feels this mechanically honest. The sweet spot is the 2010 through 2013 4Runner in SR5 or trail trim with the 4.0-liter V6 and 5-speed automatic. This one lands at number 1 because it does not pretend to be anything else. It is a real truck-based SUV with body-on-frame hardware, a real transfer case, a naturally aspirated V6, port injection, and a timing chain-driven engine that was built to live under load. That technical detail matters more than any giant screen ever will. The 1GR-FE is not fancy, but it is exactly the kind of powertrain that gets old well because it is not wrung out, not turbocharged, and not packed with needless complexity. The 5-speed automatic is just as important. It is a straightforward partner for a vehicle like this, and that is a huge reason mechanics trust the combo. What makes the 4Runner durable is not magic. It is low specific output, old-school truck hardware, easy service access, and a drivetrain that seems comfortable doing hard work for a very long time. That is why this SUV keeps getting handed down, kept as a second vehicle, or held onto until the owner is basically forced to replace it. The owner profile here is easy to picture. This is for the outdoors guy, the family road tripper, the rural driver, the bad weather commuter, or the keep-it-forever buyer who values function over fuel economy and image. Used prices now usually land around $15,000 to $23,000 for the sweet spot years, depending on miles, rust, trim, and history. That is not cheap, but you are paying for a reputation the market already believes. The maintenance item owners ignore that what kills these is not usually the engine. It is the driveline service nobody does. People fail to cycle the four-wheel drive system, they forget the transfer case and differential fluids, and then expensive parts start getting ruined quietly. Rust is the body killer, but neglected driveline fluids are what turn a great truck into a very costly one. Another thing that helps the 4Runner last is the way it was engineered for load, bad roads, and repeated use without feeling delicate. Doors, hinges, suspension, and chassis pieces all feel heavier, slower wearing, and more forgiving than crossover hardware built around lighter-duty expectations. Even the seating position and visibility encourage the kind of calm driving that seems to help these age well. That matters in winter, on washboard roads, and on long family trips where a lighter crossover can start feeling nervous, noisy, and a lot less confident than this truck. My buying checklist is simple. Get underneath it and inspect the frame, brake lines, hardware, and suspension mounts for serious corrosion. Then, make sure the four-wheel drive system actually engages and disengages the way it should, because I never used it is not reassuring. Finally, drive it on rough pavement and highway pavement to feel for seized calipers, tired shocks, and front-end looseness. A clean 4Runner still feels solid in a way most crossovers never will. It is slower, thirstier, and less polished than trendier SUVs, but it gives you something most of them do not. It gives you trust. Treat the driveline fluids like they matter. Keep the rust away. And this is one of the few vehicles where 200,000 miles can still feel like middle age instead of the end. Patient owners win. Neglected cars die early. Click the next video because some reliable cars turn into money traps fast once real-world mileage starts showing up. Like and subscribe for more videos like this.